So welcome back to episode 10, lighting, the NPK show, all about the lighting, the illumination of green-bodied, CO2 breathing, sunlight eating plants.
Why do you always have to make everything sound so complicated?
Sorry.
So what's this show about?
Lighting the plants up.
So why didn't we just say that in the first place?
I thought it'd make it a bit dramatic. Roll to titles. We've got PPF, photosynthetic photon flux measured in micromoles per second. We've got PPFD, photosynthetic photon flux density measured in micromoles per meter per second. We've got DLIs, the daily light integral. We've got PAR, it's photosynthetic active radiation. And we've got lumens.
But they're for humans.
Yeah, lumens are for humans. And we're talking about lighting. We're going to get into this in a big way.
What was that all about?
Well, I was just trying to get everything in. Everything scientific and won't go before you say I'm not allowed to do any more science anymore.
I couldn't understand the word what you were saying, and that was like a completely different language.
Well, I'm going to do a science part later. I'm going to go into exactly what all that means. But first, we've just got to talk a little bit about lighting, haven't we?
Okay, as long as you don't talk any more about lumens.
I'm going to do a little bit more, but it'll be about myself.
Okay, but don't forget, lumens are for humans. So why is lighting so important?
Well, plants use light from the sun as energy. They capture the energy, photons, and use carbon dioxide and oxygen and make glucose, simple sugars, and use that to grow. No light, no grow.
Okay, so why do we have so many different types of lights?
Actually, that's an interesting point, because the sun is a really big ball of light in the sky, and it's the best light that plants can get. But what the manufacturers have got to do is produce a light with the spectrum as close as possible to the sun, but that's really hard because they have to make it efficient and cost effective for growers. And what growers want is a light that can do it all.
Spectrum, what's a spectrum?
Spectrum, now we're talking about PAR, photosynthetic active radiation, and we go into detail downstairs on Science Steve, but PAR is the part that the plant absorbs. You know when we said lumens are for humans?
Yeah.
Well, humans see white and green light really brightly, but we don't see red and blue that well. Well, plants see red and blue really brightly, and they don't see the green too bright.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's a lot of complicated stuff to do with lighting, but we're going to simplify it, going to keep it simple. I think the best thing to do though is take you around the shop and show you all the different lights we use for different stages of growth.
Let's go and show them.
Come on.
Okay.
So, lighting. Talking everything about CFLs, T5s, LEDs, HPS, metal halides, ceramic metal halides, all lighting. I'm going to go through why you would use these lightings and how you use them.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start with CFLs?
Yeah.
What have you got to say?
Okay, so first of all, compact fluorescent lighting.
Exactly.
Hold on a second, what do you know about compact ST?
Nothing.
What?
That's no match for T2. What's going on, little Steve? Why are you always messing around?
Bad then,
I'm talking about compact fluorescent lights, not compact fluorescent Steve.
Okay.
He's quite cute though, isn't he? Might get him back one day. I actually like having another mate. Me and him will team up against you in T2. What do you think?
We'll see.
Anyway, compact fluorescent lights. What have we got? We've got 300 watt and 125 watt. Two different spectrums, red and blue. 6,400 Kelvin for the blue spectrum, 2,700 Kelvin for the red spectrum. In vegetative growth, you want to go for the blue spectrum, the 6,400. It's much nicer. You do your seedlings, your clones, your small vegetative plants. Really nice spectrum for the young plants. What I do want to say though about CFLs is it really matters where you buy them from. And we only use the Maxi Bright CFLs. Reason being, a lot of the CFLs that are 300 watts or claim that the 300 watts will actually only run at, in the worst case, is 190 watts.
Well, basically, loads of the CFLs on the market are a load of rubbish, to be honest with you. And Steve's got a piece of equipment that helps you test how much wattage is actually running through the CFLs. And when we use this piece of equipment, we had some alarming discoveries that
We did that a few months ago.
Yeah.
I just want to show you really quickly now what we discovered.
Get our CFL light hanger. We shall screw our CFL in.
Are we in?
Yes, we are in.
125 watts of lovely blue light.
Wow.
Now, if you're looking at the wattage meter here, slowly goes up as the energy builds up and the CFL heats up, builds up on the wattages. Now you'll see that this 125 watt CFL is running at currently 100 watts. It's going to slowly build up, probably peaks out at around 110 watts. So a point to make is, even though it says 125 watts, I've yet to find a CFL that actually runs at 125 watts or 300 watts. So if I now get another 125 watt CFL from a different company, let's see what comes up on the wattage meter. There you go, beautiful assistant.
Thank you.
How many owners of a business does it take to screw a light bulb?
One.
Should we turn it on? Red CFL this time, 125 watts, 2700 Kelvin. Red CFLs can be used to supplement HPS lights. I don't know many people that do it, but it's good if you want to create a mix. You can have blues and reds. That was quite hot, don't touch the bulb.
It's not hot at all.
It's actually good, aren't they? Good point, top tip, while the energy meter's going up. CFLs, great for small plants because you can spray with the lights on. So I'm very happy to foliar feed with CFLs.
See, top tip for me is what I love about compact fluorescent lighting is it's a good additive light as well if you get into tough times and you've got heat stress. As you can see, there's no real heat from these lights, so adding them doesn't cause you any additional heat to the room.
So you can turn off one of your HPS or HID lights, and you don't have to lose coverage. You can just add a CFL into it.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Where are we up to with the wattage meter? So this is peaked out at 95 watts. Now, we didn't get the worst CFL here.
No.
This is a mid-range CFL,
Mid-range, yeah.
and it's hitting 95.
Yeah.
Some of the worst CFLs we've seen hit 80 watts when they're saying that to 125 watts. So our big thing is make sure you're getting good CFLs, and if you're not sure, get yourself an NE Genie meter, and this will be able to tell you the wattages, your power factors, just a good
Is it an energy meter or an NEG meter?
It's an NE Genie meter.
Oh, okay.
It's like magic, isn't it?
Okay.
No magic tricks though.
That's enough of that anyway.
Alright, so CFLs, be careful where you get them from. We highly recommend Maxi Bros CFLs because they're the truest wattage, as what we said in the box. So we've got T5s as well. Great light for vegging, cloning, seedlings, just as good as it. Probably a little bit better than CFLs, nicer spread of light.
T5s. How about the T5 Army?
What's that? It's impressive, but I'm fed up with all these magic tricks. I'm trying to talk science and
look at them, aren't they great, aren't they?
why have you always got more than me? I was quite happy with my little CFSD, and now you've got T5s.
You get the one hopping. Standing need for that.
I'm fed up with you and your clones. So T5 lighting. We've got the Lightwave T5 here.
Yeah.
This is a 2'4" tube. You can get them in 2'2" tube, 4'4"
So what does that mean?
tube.
Oh, it's 2 foot long.
2 foot long.
And it's got
That's
4
your
tubes.
spread.
It's got 4 tubes in it.
4 tubes of light, so that tells you the output as well.
So what if it's 4 foot 4 tube?
It's 4 foot long, and it's got 4 tubes, so it's going to be 4 tubes.
What
long.
if it's 8 foot 8 tube?
I think you can work it out by now, can't you?
Or 2 foot 2 tube?
I think you can work that one out.
Okay, we get the gist.
Yeah.
Do they make them sizes?
They make all of those sizes.
Excellent.
And they're really good because if you're in a propagated tent, CFLs, they're great, but you're losing a lot of light to the surround. There's no, unless you put them with a reflector, there's light coming from all angles. T5s, push your light downwards. So if you're in propagation tents, they're brilliant. If you just want to hang above a propagator, they're brilliant. And T5 actually got named one of the best propagator lights that you can buy. Really efficient, really good bang for your buck.
What if the bulbs go? Can you get replacements?
Absolutely, just buy T5 bulbs, really cheap as well. Cost about £10 for a replacement bulb.
Okay, cool.
That's T5s pretty much in a nutshell.
T5?
No.
Okay, cool.
Let's just move on and let's have a little look at HID lights.
HID, high intensity discharge.
Exactly, you've been doing your reading, haven't you? So, HID lighting.
Yeah.
First of all, we've got HPS, high pressure sodium, a 600 watt standard. It's the workhorse of the industry. It's the bulb that everybody uses. I've got the Philips 600 watt Master Sonti Peer Plus, probably one of the best bulbs you can get, single-ended on the market, a really good lifespan. These are about £32 RRP and they don't come better than Philips. Obviously there's other bulbs on the market, but we really like the Philips. So a good bulb if you want to upgrade your single-ended 600 watt bulb. What have you got? Why is yours always bigger than mine?
Because mine is a HID, high intensity discharge, 600 watt. Budget.
Metal halide.
Yeah, metal halide.
Nice.
Budget bulb.
Yeah, about £25.
25 quid. This will give you your lovely white light.
Okay, so we're higher up on the Kelvin scale,
Yes.
on the colour.
Yes.
Okay, so this is really good. You saw the T5s and you saw the CFLs, and we said they were really good for vegging, clones of seedlings. Now, if you want to take your growth to the next level, you're going to use metal halides in the veg stage because it gives off that blue light. It's going to keep the shorts nice and short, stocky, really nice leaf growth. Another thing you can do is you can supplement them. So you can have HPS, metal halide, gives you a really nice full spectrum. What's this other bulb? Why do you always bring big bulbs out?
So I picked these two because these look the most interesting.
They are a bit different.
Very
What's
different,
this?
very different. So that's your metal halide,
Yeah.
HID,
Yeah.
high intensity discharge, budget bulb, white light. This is your metal halide, 10k, finishing bulb.
Finishing bulb.
Yeah. This is £50. This is part of the light diet.
From
Solitech. Yeah,
So
that's
what's
it.
the finishing bulb all about then?
So basically what this bulb's designed to do is to increase oil and resin production.
Okay. Do we use it in flush?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we use it at the end of the flowering period, yeah, and this will enhance all of the resin and oil production.
Nice. Is it giving off a lot more UV, so stresses them out like the sun does to our skin?
Yeah,
Okay, nice. And more oil production, more resin production?
yeah.
Very nice.
Part of the Solitech light diet, a 10k finishing bulb.
I'm glad you mentioned the
Look
Solitech.
very similar, very similar. That's why I picked these two, but both completely different.
Just before we actually move on to another Solitech bulb,
Yeah.
I want you to notice something very different compared to HPS bulbs. If you hold that, and I get this out again. They're very different in that this is one piece of glass. You'll notice that metal halides are two pieces of glasses. That's because these are double jacketed, and it means that if these
It's
ever
got two
pop,
jackets on.
it's very cold in there. It's not.
Yeah.
It's very warm. But if you ever smash one of these, you've got to be really careful with metal halides because if they smash, it's a big bang. If one of these smashes, it's just a little bit of a pop. Be really careful with the metal halide bulbs and always make sure that they're double jacketed for your safety, to be honest. This is next level bulb.
Would you like me to hold it in?
I always like you to hold the end.
Okay. So here we have
Solitech's double-ended 1000 watt lamp.
So you've got an end?
And you've got an end,
Yeah.
double-ended.
Double-ended. What's so special about this thing?
Well, I'd love to go into some science. I want to talk about PPF, PPFD, PAR, DLI. Are you going to give me a couple of minutes to go and talk about all the science? Please.
Go on then.
So there's a few words that get used when talking about lighting. I'm going to help explain them, but none of this lumens nonsense. First, we have PAR, photosynthetic active radiation. Everything within the bandwidth of between 400 and 700 nanometers. This is the optimal lighting for plant growth. You've got PPF, photosynthetic photon flux, and this measures micromoles per second. It doesn't measure how much light's hitting the canopy, but rather how much light is coming from the light source every second within that power range. PPFD, photosynthetic photon flux density, micromoles per meter squared per second. This is given the amount of light that hits the canopy within the meter squared per second within the power range. And lumens. Lumens are for humans. It measures the amount of light that humans perceive, and we perceive light very differently to plants. So if your light manufacturer mentions lumens, walk away. A couple of rules for you before you go out and buy some lights. Never compare different lights based on the wattages. It's not a proper method of comparing which light is better. Second thing is, some manufacturers will make you believe that their spectrum is going to enhance the growth rates of the plants. It can also be a little bit misleading. Thirdly, don't use a single PPFD reading from directly under the light. That can also mislead you. And lastly, never ever ever use lumens when you're comparing grow lights. And if the person trying to sell you their light starts talking about lumens, just walk away. I'd like to say a big thank you to Paul from Budmaster, who's kindly lent us his lighting passport from Ascent. We'll be using this on future seasons to show you spectrums, PPFD, and how lumens can be crazily misinterpreted. So thank you very much, Paul. So, it's LEDs.
Yeah.
No YouTube show about lighting is complete without at least talking a little bit about LEDs.
Well, they've been all the rave over the past 3, 4, 5 years.
They have been a bit of a rave, yeah, but there's been a bit of a tumultuous story about LEDs.
Well, LEDs are half the power of your normal.
They'd make you think so, but they're not. No.
No?
A 600 watt LED is going to put out 600 watts worth of light.
So it doesn't save you half the money on your electricity bill?
Unfortunately, no. When these LED companies are saying that their 400 watt LED can compete with their 1000 watt double-ended light fixture, they're just spinning you a yarn.
Oh, that's not too good.
Telling porkies.
So is there any pros for LEDs?
Definitely. They're a lot cooler. So when you're in the summer and you just can't, no matter what you do, put your HPS lights on, you can look at LEDs. Or you can take off half your HPS and supplement with LEDs. And there are some good LEDs on the market. Budmaster, really good. They're coming up with basically they're pushing the pinnacle of science forward. So they're really improving LED technology.
And they've got a new single unit available as well now, haven't they?
The cob.
Yeah, okay.
So you can do really good side lighting, inter lighting, supplementary lighting. It's really good.
Okay. Now, is the intensity of the light just as good? So say 1000 watt LED light, is that just as good as 1000 watt HPS light?
It never used to be. So LEDs have come a long way from being really poor quality to being okay quality and being able to grow plants to now with the likes of Budmaster and Spectrum King and a couple of other LED manufacturers are now pushing the boundaries. So we are now starting to talk about LEDs maybe competing with high pressure double-ended lights in the next couple of years, definitely.
One thing I do know is though, is LEDs are expensive.
Very expensive. It's the downside of LEDs. To get a good LED, you're looking at upwards of £1,000. I know Budmasters and Spectrum King, the good LEDs, that ones that you'll need to replace your 600 watt lights or your 1000 watt LED, HPS, you're going to need to spend over £1,000.
What about the budget LEDs, the ones that we see for around £100 to £300?
Some people think that they get really good results off them, and we're not here to say that you don't, but I personally wouldn't sell a £200 LED to try and replace any other light fixture. And the big thing now is also ceramic metal halide. Now people are starting to look at LEDs and ceramic metal halides because they're really, really efficient. And I think it's the next part. We need to concentrate a little bit on ceramic metal halides. So we've talked a little bit about LEDs and the cost effectiveness that they can give you over a few years. But a big player coming onto the scene is the ceramic metal halide, or the CDM, the 315.
Okay.
And it's making waves.
And what does CDM mean?
Ceramic discharge metal halide, but they've missed the H off the end.
Okay.
But I call it CMH or 315.
Okay.
The best on the market is the Maxi Bright 315 ceramic metal halide, run with the Philips bulb, which you've got right behind you.
It is. Yeah. Very small bulb, isn't it?
It is. Purple ballast. Got to have the very specific ballast to run this 315 because it's low frequency.
Okay.
Square wave, very similar to the Revolution Diva, which we'll show in a little bit later on. Very small reflector though, like you said.
Strange fixture as well.
Got to be very careful when you put that in there because it can be quite fiddly.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a knack to get me in.
But you said the reflector's quite small, and it is, but you want to see the spread of this. It's really, really good. Now this is the daylight reflector.
Okay.
You'll notice as well on the sides, there's a little bit of a vent, so it lets the heat out the sides.
Okay.
And these really are making waves. The
What's so
315
special about this?
Well, the 315, it's ceramic rather than quartz on the inside. So what that means is it can get to a higher temperature inside, which means that the spectrum out of the bulb is a lot closer to daylight, hence the daylight fixture. It's a lot closer to what the sun actually gives out.
Okay.
So put two of these together, 630 watts, will blow away 600 watt single-ended bulb. And if you want to supplement your 600 watts or your 1000 watts, the quality, these are really, really all about the quality. If you supplement these, the quality just goes through the roof. Really nice fixture. Something well worth looking at.
Okay.
And if any guys in the US or gals are watching, you probably haven't seen one of these for a while because you haven't been using them for a long time.
They're ancient.
They are ancient. But if you do have to use one, then these Pro Gear metal cased magnetic ballasts are the best on the market. They're from Halide Horticulture and very low fail rate. So for a magnetic ballast, this is your one. What we want to show you though is the difference between magnetic and digital and why you should be making that step up to digital. So if we plug this light in, I'll be able to demonstrate why these have an old technology and they're no longer being used that much in the US.
Can I just jump in? Also, you can tell the difference yourself by if you have a magnetic ballast and you get your camera phone out and you try and take some video, you will see a load of black lines. But then if you try and do this with a digital lighting kit on, you won't see these black lines. And this is because the light is going off a lot of times per second. And this shows the difference immediately between a digital and an analog ballast.
We can actually see there, this is running at 50 hertz. So what that's saying is the light is essentially turning itself on and off 50 times every second.
Okay.
And that's that black band that you can see.
Yeah.
Stretch that over 3-4 months and the light turning itself on and off. Imagine how much light you're using
Could be a
on a
week.
magnetic ballast. So let's switch this to wattage. So it starts up, maybe you'll be able to hear it, the humming, so they're quite noisy. After prolonged usage, they tend to get a little bit warm as well. Now as you can see, the wattage is slowly creeping up to 700 watts. And if we left this on over a while, what you'd also notice is it moving from 500, 550 watts, 600, 650, all the way up to 700. And running a 600 watt bulb at 700 watts is going to dramatically reduce its lifespan.
Yeah.
So not only do you have a ballast that's not going to last you as long, your bulbs won't last you as long, and you're not really getting a consistent output.
No, it's not accurate. It's not consistent.
Some days you're getting lots out of it, some days you're only getting 500 watts. So this is why a lot of people have moved off magnetic ballasts, and why if you're still using yours, when they break, it's time to go digital. So the digital ballast, should we plug her in and see what she does?
Yeah.
The first thing you'll notice, doesn't come on straight away.
Why is that?
Slow inrush current.
Okay.
What it means is it's not going to put a strain on your contactor or on your electrical wiring, because the current comes in and it slowly pushes it to the light. That's what the little delay was.
Okay.
What else do you notice? How quiet it is. How light it is. These are all good things about the digital ballasts. Why am I whispering?
I don't know.
The digital ballast. This knob is here to dim the light.
Okay.
So magnetic ballast just runs at 600 watts. A digital ballast can be up to 660 if you really want to push your bulb to the limits. But on the hot days, we can turn it down to 400 watts, so you don't have to turn the light off when it gets a little bit warm. We can start dimming our lights and still have our coverage.
What I want to know is, if you was going to switch your ballast down to 400 watts, would you use the same bulb to keep the 600 watt bulb in, or would you put a 400 watt bulb in?
If you're in your room and it's a hot summer's day, it's best to turn your 600 watt down to 400 watts. But what you really want to do is go and get yourself a 400 watt bulb, because it's going to, 400 watts to a 400 watt bulb is the best of both worlds. But turning a 600 watt bulb to 400 is a bit of a cover shift while you're sorting your bulbs out. But one thing to never do is put a 400 watt bulb in and turn it up to 600. I mean, it's not going to go straight away, but you're putting 600 watts worth of energy into a 400 watt bulb, and it's not going to handle it, it's not going to work well enough for it.
Okay.
Now if we look at the wattage,
Yeah.
the wattage is slowly creeping up, so it takes time, the bulb's heating up, it's starting to use more energy. But what you'll notice as it creeps up, it stays at 600 to 630 watts, and it's peaked at 640 there.
So it's actually giving you what it says.
Exactly.
It should.
So 640 watts, 40 watts of energy is getting lost in a little bit of heat, a little bit of the losses through the cabling, and actually 600 watts is being delivered to the bulb. And you know the best thing about it all, this Horta King, not much more expensive now than the magnetic ballasts. So if your magnetic ballast is done, finished, it's time to upgrade. So just before we finish up on ballast, there's a couple of more options that you might like to know about. Do you want to grab your Pro Select? And I'll grab the Max. Mine's nice and gold and shiny.
Yours
so
is
it's
the
automatically better.
Yeah, yours is like the VIP one. This
Yeah.
is the Digi Pro Select by Maxi Bright. Really good piece of kit. Do you want to explain some of the features?
On the Pro Select, it's got more dimming features, so you can go from 250 to 275, 400 to 440, and 600 to 660. You'll also notice on both of them, they've got LEDs below the 600, 400, and 500 watts. So if anything goes wrong, your current's too much, your current's too low, there's something wrong with the ballast, there's something wrong with the bulb, these LEDs will flash in a certain way and tell you exactly what's going wrong.
Pretty good piece of kit.
Really nice feature.
Okay.
This is gold because it runs 400 volts.
Okay, so what's the difference?
At 400 volts, it's the volts, wattage, ampage equation. So when you go higher voltage, your ampage comes down because you're always running 600 watts no matter which ballast you're on.
What's the benefit to that?
If you have multiple 400 volt ballasts, it means that your ampage is lower, so it's a less of a drain on your circuitry, and it means that you're going to have less problems like circuits breaking and your fuses blowing. So these are good if you've got multiple ballasts.
Okay.
But step above these, this is the digital ballast, roughly about £80 RRP. This kit, you're looking at about 130 to 140 pounds.
Really
RRP.
light piece of kit.
Really nice. And
There's
light.
two lights together. One hand. No bother.
And this one, a bit more expensive. You're looking at about 160 for the full kit. But the difference in them, it's actually worth paying a little bit more money because they're going to last you a lot longer. They've got a lot more features. And listen, see with Maxi Bright's ballast, you cannot go wrong. They do really good light kits. So take me hats off to these ballasts.
And the failure rate is second to none, isn't it?
I can't even remember the last time we had one back.
So basically you're going to buy a piece of equipment and it's not going to break on you.
It's a win-win situation.
There you go, you can't complain there, can you?
Before we wrap up, we're going to show you the 1000 watt double-ended light in action. Let's go and set it up.
Let's set it up.
It's the Mac Daddy now.
Okay.
It's the 1000 watt double-ended light fixture. Now there's a few on the market, some really good fixtures. Gavita, everyone knows Gavita. It's the #1 at the moment of selling ballasts and selling light kits. But you've also got people like Solistec who've come up with the light diet, really innovative range of light bulbs that you can give different recipes to your plant. But I'm liking this one. This is the Revolution Diva.
The Revolution Diva. Is it a bit of a diva, is it?
Well, it doesn't live up to its name. It's not a diva. It's a really solid piece of kit.
Okay.
Low frequency square wave technology. In a nutshell, it means that it's giving more light to your plants.
We're going to switch it on.
Let's see.
Come on, I'll switch it on.
You do the Blackpool lights
Because you always get to switch it on.
Oh, before you do, important. We nearly forgot safety.
Safety always.
These are mine. There's yours. You got to take them off. They're your snowboarding goggles.
Okay.
No good for indoors.
1 second. So, these are my
Method 7.
Method 7 grow room glasses.
You might think it's a little bit silly. Why are you wearing glasses indoors?
Custom bags, very nice. Nearly broke them, sorry.
Couple of things. They changed the orange glow out into a nice white glow so you can see your plants much more effectively.
Okay.
And it's going to protect your eyes.
Okay.
So you'll be growing for many, many years.
Many
rather than
years.
fumbling around because you can't see anything anymore. Light her up. Never look directly at the bulb.
Never.
Oh, we've had a change of current there.
Okay. So what was all that delay about then?
So what's happening is, remember with the digital ballast, it slows the input. Well, these do exactly the same thing. So instead of your lights all coming on at once, the wattage is going to hit, the current's going to hit, and it's going to slowly distribute it to the ballast inside.
So what's so good about this light?
This light, this particular light, it's square wave, low frequency. And the nice thing about it, if we turn it for a second, is that you can see it's very slim line. Now some fixtures come with the ballast, and it means that it's taking away a lot of the height. You can get this really high up, as close to the ceiling as you can. There's a lot of features in this, and it would probably take half an episode just to go into the features of this light.
Okay.
But for now, it's a double-ended light fixture.
Yeah.
1000 watts, highly efficient. And the one thing we'll say though, is that a mistake that the UK growers make is they see the US growers using 1000 watt light fixtures, but they forget that the US have really high ceilings and they always put them really high. You're not going to be able to put this light into your 2 metre tent.
No.
You've got to have, really, you should have 2.4 metres in height before you start thinking about 1000 watt fixtures.
Otherwise you're going to start burning your plants.
Exactly. These are you can feel the heat already, can't you?
Already.
I think we may just wrap up here.
Yeah.
It's a little bit nippy outside.
Well,
so
let's switch it off before we get a suntan.
I'm going to stay warm. You can do what you want, but we'll see you later, and we're going to get warm.
Bye-bye.
Don't make it Don't make it
Well, that was absolutely illuminating, wasn't it?
Don't lie, you enjoyed that. How much did you learn about lights just then?
I don't know whether I learned anything or got bored to death.
Listen, you know what's fascinating about lighting? We've literally just looked at the basics. We could do a whole season probably on different lights, the different spectrums. There's books, massive books. I can't wait. I can't wait to get the par meter out and start taking light average micromole readings. Sounds like a brilliant day to me.
I think I might be bringing T2 back to get rid of you.
Anyway, see you on next week's episode, episode 11, when we talk nutrients and additives. And I know that growers get really excited when we start talking nutrients and additives. They all go, woo!
Well, I'm going to stop him from talking and I'm going to do you some showing.
Well, we'll see.
Well, Steve, I need you to do me a favour.
Anything?
I need you to keep an eye out for T2.
Why, what's happened to him?
I don't know, he's gone missing. I can't find him anywhere. I've looked everywhere for him and I can't find him anywhere. And all I know is there's another clone of me and he's out there. God knows what's going on.
I'll try my best.
So if you see him, let me know straight away.
Of course. For you, remember, next week, 6 o'clock, episode 11, don't be late.